It's the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast. Got a brand new episode, and so here we go. You know, earlier this morning, Jodi was talking about, I didn't even think about this. It's so true that, our oldest daughter works in a movie theater, and so whenever we go there and she's working at the same time.
She sneaks you in.
Well, no, you just do kind of the ooey gooey parent thing. It's kind of like, oh my God.
I try not to.
I know.
I don't want to embarrass her, but I love to watch her in action, just like when she was little, and I love to pick her up from, preschool and see her when she didn't know I was there yet. Mm-hmm. It's almost the same feeling of like, look at her go. She doesn't know I'm here. And look at her run that concession stand, or look at her handle, the birthday. She's been doing a lot of birthday parties. Yeah. Summertime, a lot of, and she's getting good tips.
I haven't experienced that yet. I haven't seen that. And, Taylor's the type, I don't think it pressures her. She's kind of like, okay, it's mom and dad. As long as we don't do anything to call her out, yelling down the hall.
Taylor! Exactly. I'm not going to do that.
And I can remember, the first time I experienced that with a sibling, it was my sister, and she was working at TCBY.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And which was, kind of cool. So, get the occasional discount. And she was great. Yeah. She was a great customer service person. But it's weird that you walk in and there's your sister for the first time and, doing
in
her
a
job.
different role.
And you almost feel, you feel pressure to be a good customer. I think she probably felt pressure to do her job
felt
well.
Weird.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Did you pretend like you didn't know each other? Hi, helpful lady. Can you?
What's the best service I ever got?
Wow. How about a tip?
I'm leaving this girl $10. $10.
Best yogurt I've ever had.
Did you remember one of my favorite memories with my dad was when I worked, my first job was at McDonald's. We've talked about that 100 times. Mm-hmm. And I worked the drive-thru, and I was in high school, and one night I was working one evening, and I was taking the orders. Like, you hear the beep and you go, hi, welcome to McDonald's. Can I help you? And this guy goes, I'd like to have 68 Dr. Peppers. And I'd like them extra cold and icy. And I was like, what? It was one of my first ever weird orders, because you get a ton of weird orders when you do that sort of thing. Yeah. And I heard laughing, and it was him. Yeah. He was there with my Uncle Roy. And they were,
okay.
He really, and he ordered one Dr. Pepper. And that was it.
Sammy, his first job was at McDonald's, and I did that once because it's like he worked all over in the store.
Yeah.
And so when you drive up and it's like, oh, that's Sammy's voice. I got to do something.
Right. You can't just do it. Go. Hey, it's mom. Hey, it's dad.
Yeah. The other one I find too is with Jackson, who is in the band at high school now. Yeah. Is when you go and see them, you kind of touched on this earlier, Jodi, about seeing your kids like a daycare in their element with their friends.
Doing their own thing.
Being who they are. And I see that with Jack at band, at football games and stuff. And then even in concerts when we go and sit in the auditorium and watch him play. And the way it's nice to see your child living their life, having their life, and not like, oh, I'm my parents' kid right now.
Yeah.
Right.
They're their own person. Mm-hmm. They got their own friends. They're doing their own goofy things.
Yes.
And
they need
just
to do
having fun doing it.
Yeah, that's super cool. So, Bailey, you worked in retail, and I say retail. You worked in a restaurant, and your sister kind of does its retail, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, have you experienced that?
Do you ever go see your sister at work?
I have seen her at work once. She works at a local cake shop. Yeah. And I went in there one time whenever she was first starting, and I was just like, hey, do y'all sell? They absolutely don't sell cookie cake. So I asked her if they sold cookie cake there.
Of course, yeah.
And that was really fun.
She gave you the big sister eye roll. Like, what is he doing here?
So did your family ever come to see you at the pizza place?
No, because she works in the front half of the store, and I worked in the back half of the store.
Oh, okay. So you weren't.
You couldn't be seen.
No.
You were making the pizzas, not selling the pizzas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right after you graduate, you were working here with us, Bailey, right after you graduated college, and your parents came and surprised you here. Was that weird?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Like, it's just...
It was cute. It was sweet.
Yeah, I love it when they do that, but it's just like I'm at work and
what are you doing?
They're not work people.
They snuck in this room when you were doing something, and then you walked in, and I've never seen you look so like your worlds collided. Like, what are you doing here?
This is my domain.
But everything was fine because they brought you a cheesecake, a homemade cheesecake, so everything was fine. Yeah, right away.
Yeah. Was that on your birthday?
It had to have
graduated.
Been. Oh, it was graduation.
Graduated college.
You're right. Yeah,
right. Do you have the desire ever to act goofy in front of the kids like that? Because I mean, obviously I can't there are certain situations I can't just let it go. I have to do something. Jackson and his friends, and he's done this for years, Parker does it too, is that game where you do the OK symbol with your hand and to get somebody to look at you.
Thank God our kids are not into that, Murphy.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
You make the OK sign.
Yes.
Okay, but you do it like, oh, look, my shoe's untied. And when somebody looks down at your shoe,
you got it because it's okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's a gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Jack, he's always, both the kids are always trying to do this. And so one time last year at a football game, he's like, hey, Jack. Hey, and he goes, oh, yeah, that's my dad over there. And it's like, oh, look, Jack, I brought this for you. And he looked over, and his
you
friends
got him.
looked over and was like, hey, he got you. I was like, that's right, I got him. Don't mess with me.
That was
Actually,
awesome.
I feel almost opposite about it. I feel like, because I don't know if it's mother guilt, but I feel like because of what we do, this thing, the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi show, that there's already so much that's out there. There's so many times when we go places and it's like, oh yeah, I listen, this is so funny, and you can hear them eye roll. After a while, they get tired of it.
Yeah.
So I maybe I'm extra sensitive to
being in the background.
I want to, when it's their thing, it's their thing. I'm Taylor's mom in this situation, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Well, more people recognize you with the red hair and all that kind of stuff. So for me, I just don't want to embarrass them in that.
Right. I don't want to embarrass them.
I will be a little more of the fun, playful dad when it's their close friends with us. I don't mind being the silly dad then.
We have fun then.
And I think they're actually probably cool with that too.
Yeah.
Because they play off of it,
Their friends know us well, and they were goofy.
But yeah, in public, I'm not going to call her out. In fact, I'll probably just flash her the peace sign or a little I love you, and then just be on my way instead of hey, you missed a spot over there, Taylor.
Well, Jackson has a way of putting me back in my place.
Yeah.
And he did this a few times near the end of the school year. If I'd go pick him up at band practice after school, he'd say, hey, everybody, do you listen to Murphy, Sam, and Jodi? You know who this is?
He does that.
Please don't do that.
That's so funny because that's the last thing I would think to.
That drives me like.
So he's doing it because he knows that it calls undue attention.
He knows your spot.
Yeah.
He knows where he can get you.
He does it all the time.
It's just fun for me to see her in that element because it's kind of a long story, and we've told it here. Is that I sort of had to push her to get a job. I'm like, Taylor, I know you. You will love having a job. You'll love having the money, and you're going to make friends. She's the kind of kid, she's not good with a lot of free time. She will admit that too. She needs to be occupied, and that's wonderful. I believe in that too. Doing things is what you're supposed to do with your life, and she really does love it. So much so that the movie theater she works at is on the other side of town from where we moved. Mm-hmm. And when we moved into the new house, I said, you can get a job closer if you really want to. And she thought about it, and she came to me a couple weeks back and said, you know what? I want to work where I work. I love my job. I love my friends at my work.
Yeah.
And she's kind of worked herself a little bit up to where she's not the new kid anymore.
Right.
She helps new people who are coming in.
Yeah.
So
And
she feels really comfortable there.
She's always going to love that. She's always going to look back on that as a really fun. It was really cool when I got to work at the theater. It's weird because I don't really have that experience.
That's right, Murphy.
I did two. I either cut grass, or I did this radio thing for a living. I've never done anything else, so I don't have like Sam, going offshore doing his offshore work, which sounds really cool, doesn't it?
Except that you were cooking in the kitchen.
Yeah, I was cooking for the roustabout.
Still, it's really good to have more
mopping floors.
It's good to have a lot of more experiences. Let me ask you this then: we've heard that you cut grass for the lady in the neighborhood.
Yeah. And that's it was like 2 yards.
So you did 2 yards for like a whole summer?
Mm-hmm.
Or, okay, well, or you didn't just do 2 yards and then you were done. I'm saying, was it a whole
I'm done
summer?
till next summer.
See, no, I did
know.
it. Yeah, I kept a regular schedule of cutting grass.
So then you did have that experience.
Yeah. Why, are you doubting me?
All I've ever heard is I cut a couple yards. I went to get payment. She showed up. She was not fully dressed. You've told that story
No wonder that's your favorite summer job.
so many times that that's my picture.
It wasn't. And, for clarification for no one that's actually heard that before, these were two, senior citizens they were both widows, and they were really nice, sweet people. And so I cut their grass, and I felt obligated, and I knocked on the door to get my payment one time, and I think one of them thought it was the other neighbor, you know? So, I mean, they're senior citizens. They're used to being in their unmentionables or whatever.
It's
you know
like
what I mean?
you walking outside in your V-neck undershirt.
No, not really. I mean, it would be like me walking outside in my underwear.
Okay.
But so, I mean, because this was really, you know, it was not a state of complete undress, but it was more than I wanted to see. But anyway, yeah. But those, now that I'm thinking back in time, I really should have charged a little bit more for that. $15 a cut really wasn't enough to, you know.
Nah, back then.
Make it worth my
back
time.
then.
So you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I do have some fond memories of that. I got an extra $5 if I use the weed trimmer too.
Nice.
If I trim the edges.
You know, going back, you really do learn from every single job situation, especially jobs. You know, I had a couple of jobs I learned a lot from. I worked at a health club, and I probably was there about a year. And it sounds like, ooh, but I cleaned a lot. I was in charge of showing. It was an all ladies health club. And I was in charge of showing them how to use the equipment when they were new, and showing them the spa and the bath area and the changing area. And this is where your locker is. And if you need me, always come find me. I had a clipboard and all that. But I did a lot of cleaning too, because it was important that a place where, you know, women come to work out, you know, there's coffee spilled every day, and I was just responsible. And I learned a lot about keeping things clean and keeping a list of things, because I had a list every day of stuff I had to do. And it's just, you don't think you're learning in that, but you are. Every little thing you do, you will learn. I learned stuff at McDonald's. You
So
know?
what happened in the health club? Why did you leave that job?
I moved away.
Oh, okay.
I loved my job there. I just moved away. That's when I
What was the one you were fired from?
Yeah, I thought you were fired from a job.
I was fired from a salon.
A salon, that's right. Yeah. So,
They took themselves really seriously at the salon where I worked. And everybody had short, modern, trendy haircuts. And here I come with my red, long headbanger hair. I don't know how I even got the job. And then I just was I was not polished enough for it. I know that now. When I got fired, I was too country for it.
What?
Probably. You know what I mean?
That's sweet.
Does that make sense? No, going back, I didn't fit. I was the big sore thumb that stuck out. You know what I mean?
Well, that was just inexperience? So that wasn't a country thing. It was just you
everything.
being young, probably.
I was inexperienced. I was in charge of making the appointments and helping the clients, and they were very specific about how clients were to be handled and spoken to.
Sure.
And I don't remember being taught any of that. They just didn't like the way I worked with people.
Y'all want a Coke?
Probably.
Jodi, can you please tone that down a little?
Probably. And from the time I walked into that place, they wanted to cut my hair. Yeah. I've always been a long hair person.
Yeah.
And back then, it was kind of too. It was kind of like permed and long and big. I miss big hair. I loved big hair. But anyway, I did not really fit in physically there, you know, aesthetically. And then I know that eventually, I think the day before I was fired, one of their longest standing clients, a lovely lady with probably a lot of money who was in there every week getting every possible procedure. I think I was very confused, and there was a million things going on, and the music was going, you know, and I was having trouble handling it all. And I was just trying to situate it all, and I turned and I pointed at her and I said, "You, ma'am," I didn't know her name, and I called her "you. Please don't leave, come back." And they just didn't like that. And they were right. They were right not to like that. Yeah. I think I was 19 years old, and I didn't know any better. And when they fired me, I cried like a baby.
Oh, see, that makes me feel bad.
Hurt. I was so embarrassed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you learned. But
I learned that when you're in a client, that was the first client-based business I had ever really worked in. And when I tell you, I worked there for a few months, and that was it. Maybe one summer, and I got fired at the end of the summer. I don't know where I went after that.
School?
Yeah, probably.
Did you get any severance pay or free haircut after that?
I don't remember. I was so distraught, I don't remember.
So were they pointing at the door?
Pretty much. Pretty much.